Ma'am, your espresso is ready. Maya's voice was soft, but Victoria Sterling didn't even look up from her diamond-studded phone. Did I tell you to speak? She lifted one manicured finger, the same way people hush a servant. A circle of wealthy white socialites snickered. Victoria leaned back in her designer chair, eyes sharp and cruel. Since you're so good at serving coffee, sweetheart, maybe you can teach me about money. She tilted her head mockingly. I manage $80 million. What do you manage? Tips in a jar? The table erupted in laughter. One woman in pearls whispered, loud enough to hurt, "These people never know their place." Maya froze. A black woman, cheap apron, surrounded by millionaires who treated her like dust. No one defended her. No one dared. But what none of them knew was this. In 14 minutes, this poor waitress would walk on to a national broadcast and expose an $80 million scandal linked directly to Victoria Sterling. And the arrogant billionaire who mocked her? She'd lose everything before dessert was even served.
The Sterling Lounge wasn't a restaurant. It was a shrine to wealth. Crystal chandeliers dangled like frozen raindrops, marble floors shimmered beneath designer heels, and the air smelled of imported lavender and entitlement. Only the richest of Manhattan sat here, lounging as if the world itself bowed for them. And that afternoon, at the very center of the room, sat Victoria Sterling, the queen of all things arrogant and gilded. Victoria, 34, blonde hair sculpted like a magazine cover, was the kind of billionaire who didn't walk. She glided, expecting the earth to soften beneath her steps. Her fortune wasn't earned, but inherited from 3 generations of ruthless business magnates. She believed poverty was a choice, respect was optional, and kindness was a weakness. And today, she was in a worse mood than usual. Her company's quarterly report had been mediocre. Mediocre, not disastrous, but to someone like Victoria, anything below goddess level was an insult. So she came to Sterling Lounge to do what she did best, remind the world of her power. Unfortunately for her, and fatefully for herself, Maya Johnson happened to be her waitress. Maya, 29, dark-skinned, soft-spoken, with gentle eyes that held stories she never told, moved through the lounge with quiet grace. Her uniform was cheap, her shoes worn, her braids pulled back in a tight ponytail, but nothing about her posture showed defeat. She walked with dignity, something money couldn't buy. To the wealthy patrons, she was invisible. To Victoria, she was a target. Maya carried a tray with tea, lemon water, and Victoria's favorite espresso, imported, exclusive, freshly brewed. She approached the table. "Ma'am, your espresso is ready." Victoria didn't turn, didn't blink, didn't acknowledge she heard a human voice. Instead, she lifted one manicured finger, the same gesture people use to silence a barking dog. "Did I tell you to speak?" she snapped, still scrolling through her phone. The table of white billionaire women erupted in soft laughter. Maya lowered her eyes, swallowing the sting. Victoria finally looked up. Her icy blue gaze landed on Maya with the sharpness of a blade. "Since you're so good at serving drinks, sweetheart," Victoria smirked, her voice dripping venom, "maybe you can teach me how to handle money." Her friends leaned in, their pearls glinting.
Victoria continued, louder this time, making sure every patron nearby could hear. "I manage an $80 million portfolio. What do you manage?" She paused. "Oh, wait. Nothing. Except maybe—" She leaned closer, eyes narrowing. "Tips from pity?" The laughter burst like champagne. A woman beside her whispered, not quietly enough, "These people never know their place." Maya froze. The humiliation wasn't in the words. It was in the room's silence. No staff member stepped in. No customer spoke up. She stood there alone, a black woman in a room full of white wealth and fragile egos. Her hands trembled slightly, but she regained control. This job wasn't forever. This moment wouldn't define her. Victoria reached into her designer purse and pulled out a crisp $100 bill. She waved it in Maya's face like bait. "Here's your tip in advance," she mocked. "Teach a billionaire how money works. Go on, impress me." Her friends applauded the cruelty. Maya looked at the bill, then at Victoria, then at the laughing circle of privilege around her. She tucked her chin slightly and spoke, her voice steady. "I'll bring anything else you need, ma'am." Victoria rolled her eyes. "Of course you will." As Maya turned to leave, Victoria's voice rose again, loud, taunting, cutting through the lounge. "Some people were born to serve. It's cute when they pretend otherwise." A few customers shifted uncomfortably, but no one dared challenge the billionaire princess. Maya walked away with the same grace she arrived with, but inside, something burned. Not anger. Clarity. She had dealt with worse. She had survived more. And she held secrets Victoria couldn't begin to imagine. Because Maya wasn't just a waitress. At night in her small apartment, with peeling paint and flickering lights, she became someone else entirely. Someone anonymous, someone powerful, someone who handled money far better than Victoria Sterling ever could. Someone the financial world only knew as MJ. The mysterious advisor who saved failing corporations from collapse. And tomorrow morning, Victoria Sterling would be begging MJ to save her empire. But today, Victoria had no idea she had mocked the wrong woman.
Victoria Sterling's penthouse was a tower of glass and ego, 40 stories above Manhattan, overlooking the city she believed she owned. But tonight, as she stepped inside after humiliating Maya at the lounge, the silence hit her first. Her home was never silent. Assistants scurried like ants. Chefs prepared meals she rarely ate. Analysts hovered with charts and predictions. But everything was still. Too still. She dropped her handbag on a velvet sofa and frowned. "Hello?" she called out sharply. No answer. The lights were dimmer than usual. The air felt thick. Something was wrong. Then she saw it. Her father's old mahogany desk, covered in financial reports, printed emails, and open folders. A half-dozen red tabs flashed across the computer screen. Victoria's heart clenched, something she wasn't used to feeling. She clicked the screen. Loss projection, $14,800,000. Status, urgent risk of investor withdrawal. Recommendation, contact advisor MJ immediately. Her stomach dropped. This couldn't be real. She slammed her hand against the desk and snarled, "Where is everyone?" Almost on cue, the double doors burst open and her chief operating officer, Douglas Finch, staggered in. His tie was crooked, his eyes bloodshot. "Victoria, we have a situation." "I can see that," she snapped. "Explain, now." Douglas took a shaky breath. "Our London project collapsed. The investors pulled out, and what?" she demanded. He swallowed hard. "And the board is preparing an emergency meeting. They're questioning your leadership."
Victoria's jaw clenched. My leadership built this company. He didn't argue, which meant they were in deeper trouble than she realized. She spun toward the screen again, mind racing. Where's my analyst team? Fix the numbers, adjust projections, shift assets. Douglas shook his head helplessly. They already tried. Victoria, nothing is working. Her pulse spiked. No one said nothing to her. Nothing was unacceptable. Douglas hesitated, then said the one name Victoria hated hearing. There's only one person who can fix this, in time. He exhaled. MJ. Victoria's face twisted. MJ, her father's mysterious financial advisor. A ghost in the corporate world. A genius with numbers, a savior of collapsing empires. Someone who had saved Sterling Enterprises before. Someone her father trusted more than his own board. Victoria despised that. Her father died believing MJ was the smartest person he ever met and refusing to reveal their identity. We're not involving a stranger, Victoria said coldly. Douglas shook his head. You don't have a choice. The board insists. If MJ doesn't intervene... He paused. You will use the company within a week. Color drained from her face. Losing the company? Her company? Her inheritance? Her identity? Never. She snatched her laptop, opened a secure communication channel, and typed furiously. To Advisor MJ, immediate assistance required. Message, the situation is critical. I request an urgent consultation. In person. Name your time and location. She hit send, hands trembling. Minutes passed. Nothing. She paced the penthouse like a trapped lioness. She cursed. She threatened to fire half her staff. She stared at the blinking financial disaster on her screen. 30 minutes later, her laptop chimed. A new message. From MJ. Subject, immediate assistance. Message, I'll meet you tomorrow, 2 p.m., the Meridian Lounge, booth 7. Don't be late. Victoria froze. The Meridian Lounge? Her own luxury restaurant? Why there? And why booth 7, the private booth used mainly for high-profile clients and discreet meetings? Victoria didn't like not understanding things, but she needed MJ. No pride, no arrogance, no insult could stop that. The next afternoon, she arrived at the lounge early, wearing her most powerful white suit, hair perfect, chin lifted high. She rehearsed her commands, her demands, her speech about urgency and loyalty. She entered booth 7, and her world shattered. Sitting there, calm, composed, and impossibly confident, was Maya. The waitress she mocked, the woman she humiliated, the woman she didn't even consider human enough to make eye contact with. Maya looked up at her, expression unreadable. Hello, Miss Sterling. Please sit. We have a lot to fix. Victoria's heart thudded. You? Her voice cracked. You can't be... Maya slid a folder across the table. Inside it, financial advisor, codename MJ, legal name, Maya Johnson. Victoria's breath caught. The waitress. The poor girl. The woman she insulted was the only person who could save her empire. And she had no idea what was coming next.
Victoria Sterling had faced hostile investors, predatory competitors, even the cutthroat New York media, but nothing prepared her for the sight before her now. A waitress. The same black woman she mocked less than 24 hours ago, sitting in her private booth, in her restaurant, waiting for her. Maya sat upright, calm, composed, almost regal,
as if she belonged there far more than Victoria ever did. Victoria's brain scrambled for logic. "What are you doing here?" she hissed, gripping the chair like it might collapse. Maya folded her hands on the table. "I'm here because you asked for me." Victoria blinked fast. "No, I didn't. I requested MJ, not—" She gestured toward Maya with a disgusted wave. "The staff." Maya didn't flinch. Instead, she slid a slim black folder across the table. Victoria snatched it open. The first page hit her like a punch in the ribs. Confidential. Financial advisor. Code name, MJ. Legal name, Maya Johnson. Her breath caught. "Impossible," she whispered. "I assure you, it's very possible." Victoria's hands shook as she flipped through the documents. Investment reports, company saving strategies, asset restructure plans. All signed by MJ, all written by the same calm, steady handwriting. Her throat tightened. "You're lying," she snapped. Maya leaned forward, her voice low, smooth, almost surgical. "I assure you, it's very possible." Victoria's hands shook as she flipped through the documents. Investment reports, company saving strategies, asset restructure plans. All signed by MJ, all written by the same calm, steady handwriting. Her throat tightened. "You're lying," she snapped. Maya leaned forward, her voice low, smooth, almost surgical. "Your father hired me. I was the only analyst he trusted." She paused. "And the only one who saved your company 3 different times before you inherited it." Victoria's chest tightened with rage and humiliation. Her father trusted her? A waitress? A woman she wouldn't even look at. How could he choose someone like you? Victoria spat without thinking. Maya's eyes hardened. "Someone like me?" Silence thickened the air. Victoria wished she could rewind the moment. But Maya wasn't done. "You asked how money works," Maya said softly, echoing Victoria's insult from yesterday. Victoria froze. Maya continued. "Let me teach you now. Real money isn't about bloodlines or nameplates." She tapped the financial collapse report. "It's about discipline, intelligence, work, and humility. Things your company has been missing." Victoria swallowed hard. "So, you knew who I was yesterday?" she asked quietly. Maya nodded once. "Yes." "And you let me embarrass myself?" Maya's voice was calm, not cruel. "I didn't let you. You chose to." The word stung sharper than anything Victoria expected. For the first time in her life, she felt small. She sat down slowly, her arrogance slipping like cracked porcelain. "What happens now?" she whispered, not in command, but in fear. Maya opened her laptop. "Now, we save your company." Victoria leaned closer, desperate. "Tell me what to do." Maya raised her hand, reversing the very gesture Victoria used to silence her. "Before anything," Maya said, "you will follow my conditions." Victoria tensed, but nodded. 1. You will treat every employee with respect, especially the ones you think are beneath you. Victoria's cheeks burned. 2. You will shadow me for the next week, not as a billionaire, but as a student. Victoria swallowed, forcing the words out. "Fine." And 3. Maya's voice softened, but grew heavier at the same time. "You will listen. Truly listen. Because if you fight me, your company dies. Victoria exhaled shakily. Understood. Maya clicked open the first financial file. Good. Let's begin. It was the first time in Victoria's life that she wasn't the smartest or most powerful person in the room. She wasn't the teacher. She wasn't the leader. She wasn't the billionaire. She was the student. And the waitress she mocked? She was the one holding the entire Sterling empire together.
For the first time in her privileged, diamond-encrusted life, Victoria Sterling was not in control. And everyone at Sterling Enterprises could see it. The next morning, Victoria walked into the headquarters, not with her usual storm of arrogance, but with a quiet stiffness that confused even the elevator attendant. Her heels still clicked with authority, but her eyes were different. Uneasy, humbled. At her side, moving with calm confidence, was Maya Johnson. At reception, employees stared. Whispers floated like dust particles. Is that the new advisor? That waitress from Sterling Lounge? She's with Victoria? Seriously? But Maya didn't need applause. She wasn't here for validation. She was here to save a collapsing empire. Victoria's first lesson: listening. Inside the glass boardroom, the executives were already gathered. They stiffened when Maya entered. Douglas, the COO, cleared his throat nervously. "Miss Johnson, we didn't expect—" "You expected someone older," Maya replied smoothly. "Or someone white. Or someone wearing a suit worth 3 mortgages." The room went silent. Victoria felt heat rise to her cheeks. She had thought those same things once. Maya placed her laptop on the table. "Let's get started." Victoria sat beside her, not at the head of the table, but next to Maya. Her board members exchanged worried glances. Lesson 1: Humility. Lesson 2: The numbers don't lie. Maya clicked to the first slide. Your London project didn't fail because of external factors. It failed because of internal mismanagement and overconfidence. Victoria flinched. Your team operated on assumptions, not analysis, emotion, not logic, pride, not data. Every sentence cut deeper, but Victoria forced herself to sit still. She needed this. Her company needed this. However, Maya continued, with strategic restructuring, cost realignment, fraud investigation, and properly managed assets, this collapse can be reversed within 90 days. A buzz of relief spread across the room. Victoria looked at Maya with something she had never given anyone freely: respect. After the meeting, Maya led Victoria down to the employee floor, a place Victoria had never stepped foot in. "This isn't necessary," Victoria began. "It is," Maya said firmly. They walked through small cubicles, worn desks, buzzing computers. Overworked analysts, unpaid interns, and exhausted staff looked up in shock as the billionaire suddenly appeared among them. "These are the people who keep your empire alive," Maya said. "And you've never even looked at them." Victoria swallowed. She saw stress in their eyes, fatigue in their shoulders, but also determination. They weren't rich, they weren't privileged, but they were the backbone of everything she claimed to own. For the first time, she understood that money wasn't just an empire built on marble floors. It was built on ordinary people who weren't given credit. Maya spoke gently but firmly. "If you want your company to rise,
Your ego must fall. Victoria nodded slowly. No excuses, no defenses, just acceptance. Lesson 4. Growth hurts. The rest of the week was a blur of work, humility, and uncomfortable truths. Victoria shadowed Maya through late-night analysis sessions, early morning briefings, and brutal financial audits. Every mistake Victoria had made was laid bare. But in the cracks where ego shattered, discipline grew. And for the first time, Victoria wasn't rising because of her name. She was rising because she was learning. Because Maya, the waitress she once mocked, was teaching her how to stop being her own downfall.
The final showdown arrived faster than Victoria expected. 1 week after Maya took over the financial recovery, a national news network invited Sterling Enterprises to discuss the sudden crisis. Victoria assumed she would be the one speaking, as always. She rehearsed statements, polished her image, and prepared to defend her mistakes without admitting them. But Maya had different plans. That morning, Maya stepped into Victoria's office holding a folder thick with evidence. "Today isn't about protection," she said. "It's about truth." Victoria's stomach twisted. "Truth? Maya, this could ruin us." "No, what ruined you was a system built on pride and silence. What saves you is honesty." Victoria hesitated. But she nodded. She trusted Maya now, more than she trusted herself. Camera lights flooded the studio, reporters shuffled papers, the world watched. Victoria sat stiffly, heart pounding. Maya sat beside her, poised and composed. The interviewer began. "Ms. Sterling, rumors say your company is collapsing. Investors are panicking. What do you have to say?" Victoria took a shaky breath. Before she could speak, Maya leaned microphone close. Yes, Sterling Enterprises was on the brink of collapse. She paused. And the reason is internal fraud. Gasps echoed across the studio.
Maya opened the folder and presented the evidence. Fake invoices, diverted funds, manipulated reports. But then came the shock. And the person behind the fraud, Maya said firmly, is not Victoria Sterling, but one of her top executives. Douglas Finch. The same man who convinced Victoria the collapse was her fault. The man she trusted. The man who tried to blame Maya. Security officers approached Douglas backstage before he could escape. Cameras caught him being handcuffed. Victoria's eyes filled, anger, relief, gratitude, all clashing at once. The interviewer turned to her. "Miss Sterling, do you have anything to say?" Victoria looked at Maya, then back at the camera. "Yes," she said, voice steady. "I owe everything to this woman. I judged her, I disrespected her, but she saved my company, and she opened my eyes." Maya smiled gently. The interviewer asked Maya, "Why help someone who treated you so poorly?" Maya looked right into the camera. "Because integrity isn't about how people treat you, it's about who you choose to be." The studio went silent. Millions watching felt that line in their bones. Sterling Enterprises recovered in record time. Employees were given raises, policies were reformed, and Victoria became a different kind of leader. Humble, fair, human. And Maya? She became the company's chief financial strategist. The woman once mocked as just a waitress now controlled the financial future of an entire empire.
If you want more powerful stories like this, stories that inspire, expose truth, and challenge prejudice, make sure you hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who needs this message today.